On page 2, we are going to review the trigonometric functions of a real number. We are going to let t be a real number, and the point P, which has coordinates x, y, we're going to let that be the point on the unit circle that corresponds to t. Okay, so going into this, I need you to realize that when we're talking about t, this is an angle, and then P, which has coordinates x, y, that's a point on the unit circle that corresponds to the angle t. Okay, so this is how the 6 trigonometric functions are defined in terms of the unit circle. We're going to start off with the sine function. The sine function associates with the angle t the y coordinate of the point P and is denoted by sine of t is equal to y. Okay, so what you need to remember is that sine is the y coordinate. So if I asked you for the sine of 30 degrees, okay, you would go to your unit circle. You would first locate the appropriate angle. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mark that off on here. So let's see here. Let me color this yellow. All right, so 30 degrees would be this particular angle right here. Same thing as the angle pi over 6 in radians, okay? And then you've got this XY pair, okay, associated with it, okay? This XY pair, square root of 3 over 2, 1/2, those are the coordinates of this point right here that I'm highlighting in blue, that point on the unit circle, okay? So the point has an x coordinate, it has a y coordinate. So what the definition just told us is that if we want the sine of 30 degrees, it's just the y coordinate. So the sine of 30 degrees is going to be 1/2. Okay, next for cosine, okay, the cosine function associates with t the x coordinate of the point P and is denoted by the cosine of t is equal to the x coordinate. Okay, so again, you need to remember cosine, as far as a point on the unit circle, it belongs to the x coordinate. Okay, if I wanted you to give me the cosine of 30 degrees, we would go back to our unit circle. We've already located the angle and the associated point on the unit circle affiliated with 30 degrees. We just choose the x value. Okay, so the square root of 3 over 2, that is the cosine of 30 degrees. Okay, all right, there's a note underneath sine and cosine right here. Okay, it says, thus, the point P, which has coordinates x, y on the unit circle corresponding to a real number t, is given by the cosine of t, comma, the sine of t. All right, what this statement is saying is that if you are dealing with a point P on the unit circle, and that's a must, if you are dealing with a point on the unit circle, you can write the point as having, you know, a certain x coordinate and a certain y coordinate, or you can write it as the cosine of the angle, okay, because the cosine of the angle is going to be the x coordinate. The y coordinate is the same thing as the sine of the angle. Okay, this only applies to a point on the unit circle. Okay, so if I had something like 9, -16, okay, and this was my xy, okay, this point is not on the unit circle. Okay, so I'm not going to go here and say, oh, this is the cosine of my angle and this is the sine of my angle. Okay, this definition only applies to a point on the unit circle. Keep that in mind. All right, moving on, tangent. If the x coordinate is not 0, the tangent function associates with the angle t the ratio of the y coordinate to the x coordinate of P and is denoted by the tangent of t is equal to y over x. Okay, so to do your tangent, okay, you're basically going to take the y coordinate and divide by the x coordinate. Okay, so if we went back and we tried to do the tangent of 30 degrees, okay, you would just do the y coordinate divided by the x coordinate. Okay, so we know if we go back and do that, it would be 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so it would be 1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2, When you divide these guys, leave the top fraction alone, change division to multiplication, flip the bottom fraction. Okay, the 2's will cancel. You multiply across the top, across the bottom. Then you need to rationalize your denominator. So multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3. And so the tangent of 30 degrees is going to be the square root of 3 over 3. Okay. All right, moving on to cosecant. Okay. If the y-coordinate is not equal to 0, the cosecant function is defined as the cosecant of t is equal to 1 over the y value. Okay. All right, so if we wanted the cosecant of 30 degrees, okay, we just need to do 1 over the y-coordinate. Okay, going back to 30 degrees, the y-coordinate is 1/2. Okay, so you would do 1 over 1/2. Okay, so that's going to be 1 over 1, change to multiplication, flip the other fraction. So the cosecant of 30 degrees is 2. Okay, so just remember, cosecant is 1 over the y-coordinate. All right, couple more. Okay, so now if x is not 0, the secant function is defined as the following. The secant of the angle t is equal to 1 over the x-coordinate. Okay, so secant is 1 over x. Okay, so if I want the secant of 30 degrees, I'm going to do 1 over, I'm going to go back to my unit circle, okay, find 30 degrees, grab the point, we're going to grab the x-coordinate, square root of 3 over 2, okay, so that's what's going to go in the denominator. So this is going to be 1 over 1 times 2 over the square root of 3. Okay, so the secant of 30 degrees is going to be 2 over the square root of 3. Rationalize the denominator. Multiply across the top and across the bottom. The secant of 30 degrees is 2 square root of 3 over 3. Okay, last one is cotangent. If y is not equal to 0, the cotangent function is defined as the cotangent of t is equal to the x-coordinate divided by the y-coordinate. Okay, so last thing I'll calculate is the cotangent of 30 degrees. Okay, we're just going to put the x-coordinate over the y-coordinate. Okay, so it's going to be square root of 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. Okay, and then simplify this. This is going to be the square root of 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. The 2's cancel, and so we get that the cotangent of 30 degrees is the square root of 3. Okay, so that is basically how we use the unit circle. Okay, if we have a particular angle that we're interested in, we locate that angle on the unit circle if we can. Okay, and then if that angle is on the unit circle, okay, it's going to have a point P associated with it. It'll have, that point will have an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. To get the sine of the angle, that's going to be the y-coordinate. The cosine of the angle is going to be the x-coordinate. To get the tangent of the angle, it's going to be the y-coordinate divided by the x-coordinate. The cosecant of the angle is going to be 1 over the y-coordinate. The secant of the angle is going to be 1 over the x-coordinate. And then finally, cotangent of the angle is going to be the x-coordinate divided by the y-coordinate.